All right, and welcome everybody. You're here at the Research is for You, Transfer Perspectives on Undergraduate Research session. Today is October 19th, 2021. Welcome to those of you who are joining us live and also to those of you who might be watching this video after the fact. Again, my name is Tyler Rogers and I work with the Undergraduate Research Hub here at UC San Diego. And today we have a wonderful panel of student speakers who are here to share about their experiences with undergraduate research. So they'll be our main attraction today, but for just a few moments, I'm going to share a little bit more about what it is that we do in the Undergraduate Research Hub for those of you who might be interested in getting involved. So to start off with, a very fundamental question, what is research? Many of you here might already have a sense of this, but maybe you're brand new to research and you sort of want to get a sense of what we really mean by this. When we talk about research, we're talking about a detailed study of a specific problem, topic, concern, or issue, which is usually centered around a research question. Research is dialogic in the sense that you're discovering new ideas or information, and you're also putting it in dialogue, building upon existing information. And it's important to highlight here, and as our panelists will represent, that research occurs across all fields of study at UC San Diego. So we might traditionally think of research as only being something that's in a laboratory, and that's certainly something that's very important and very well represented. But we also have research that occurs across other fields in the arts, social sciences, and humanities. And so this quote that comes from American anthropologist and novelist Zora Neale Hurston really encapsulates this idea that research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. So you can conduct research anywhere that you bring that intellectual curiosity. The Undergraduate Research Hub is a team of staff that are here on campus to support you. We run a range of research programs and opportunities, including funded research programs during the academic year in the summer, conferences, other kinds of events, and professional development workshops, sort of like this event right now. Our main email address is here on this slide, ugresearch@ucsd.edu, and our main website is ugresearch.ucsd.edu. And I'll say a little bit more at the end of my brief presentation about how you can stay connected with us. As I mentioned, we have academic year programs and summer programs. So our panelists today represent a broad swath of many of these programs. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I just want to list them here for you to maybe screenshot or pause here at some future moment so that you can spend a little bit more time on our website looking at all the different opportunities, and really you'll see that these opportunities come to life through the experiences that our panelists are going to share. There are a few opportunities that are open and accepting applications right now. So if you're watching this or participating live in the fall of 2021, right now the Faculty Mentor Program, or FMP, is still accepting applications for the upcoming winter and spring quarters. This is a program that focuses on research that's open to all students at UC San Diego with sophomore, junior, or senior standing. You participate for 2 consecutive quarters and receive independent study credit while you're participating. You do not need a full letter of recommendation to apply. You simply need the endorsement of a faculty mentor who will oversee your project. We'll talk a little bit more in our panel about searching for and reaching out to faculty mentors. So just keep that in mind. If a letter of recommendation is maybe an obstacle or a source of concern for you, the Faculty Mentor Program is a great opportunity to build a new relationship with a mentor because the letter of recommendation is not required. The upcoming deadline for the winter and spring version of the program is December 18th, 2021, and you can learn more about the program at the website here, fmp.ucsd.edu. And you can also find that from the Undergraduate Research Hub main website. Another program that is currently accepting applications is the Triton Research and Experiential Learning Scholars, or TRELS program. This is a program that's open to all UC San Diego undergraduate students, regardless of class year or standing, also regardless of citizenship status. So international students and undocumented students are welcome to apply along with US citizens and permanent residents. We encourage students who have faced any obstacles in pursuing research and experiential learning to apply. So if you have no experience and you're not sure how to get started, TRELS is a great program, and you can actually talk about that in the application itself, about how this program might help you in getting a new kind of opportunity. We have opportunities during the academic year that award a $1,000 scholarship per quarter, and also the summer research program for TRELS that offers a $5,000 stipend, essentially your salary, to conduct research and participate in the summer. You can participate in trials up to 3 different times, and you are required to reapply for each term that you're hoping to receive a subsequent award. Similarly to the faculty mentor program, you do not need a full letter of recommendation. It's a very brief endorsement form that's part of our application process. It really just takes about 3 or 4 minutes for a faculty mentor to complete that form. So again, if you're just starting to meet a potential mentor, this is a great way to start building that relationship and not feel that you already need to have this full long-term relationship with them to get started. And applications for the Winter 2022 Trials Quarterly Awards are due by November 4th, 2021. So just keep that deadline in mind. That's a lot of information very succinctly, but the best place to stay in touch with us and to keep updated on all upcoming opportunities is via our newsletter and including other virtual resources on our website. So if you go to that homepage, ugresearch.ucsd.edu, and you scroll towards the bottom, you'll see this link that looks like this on the slide here to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. And that's, again, where we advertise on a weekly basis deadlines that are coming up, other opportunities on campus, beyond campus. So if you're at all interested and if the conversation that we're about to have appeals to you and you think, oh, I could totally see myself doing research, this is one way to make sure that you're in part of our conversation and making use of the resources that we have through our office. So with that, I am going to stop talking and we're going to get to the best part of our event today, which is our student panel. So we're going to sort of go in a roundtable kind of format and ask our panelists to introduce themselves and respond to some questions. And we have already figured out the first few people who will be speaking. And after that, you can feel free to pass it over to one of your fellow panelists, or we can take turns for people to speak. The first question that we have for each of our panelists is just to please tell us a bit about you and about your journey to and through UC San Diego so far. And I'm first going to pass it over to you, Emma, just to briefly introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and about how you came to UC San Diego.
Yeah, so my name is Emma Scott. I am in my 5th year and 3rd transfer year. I'm a double major in sociology and political science. So I transferred here in fall 2019 from Pasadena City College in Los Angeles. And I transferred in as a sociology major, but around August of last year, I took on political science data analytics as well. So I'm set to graduate June 2022.
Thanks, Emma. I'll pass it over to you, Haihan.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haihan. I'm a 3rd-year transfer student in Marshall College, double major in economics and data analytics. So I came from De Anza College in Cupertino. I was really interested in doing business, so I applied economics. As learning in UC San Diego, I realized the importance of data, so I double majored with data analytics. I was also really fascinated with doing research to answer my own questions, so I came to this event to maybe share my experience with you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Haihan. Who would like to share next?
I can go next. My name is Gonzalo. I transferred last fall, so I'm a 2nd year transfer, 4th year in Marshall College. I'll likely be a 5th year student next year, so I'll be graduating spring 2023. I transferred from Bakersfield College in Bakersfield, California, and I added Latin American studies because I really want to get more information about the topics that I'm really interested in studying. And I'm also majoring in political science, comparative politics, because I just find a lot of the information fascinating, and that's kind of why I got into research.
Thanks, Gonzalo. Hira, I saw you unmute. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, so my name is Hira. I am graduating in fall or spring of 2022. I'm also from De Anza, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I transferred from there. My first year was spent, I was basically doing high school part-time and then community college full-time. And I'm majoring in neurobio, and I am also in Marshall College. So right now I'm in the process of applying to grad school.
I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Ngichinera. I am a second year transfer from Southwestern College, actually in Chula Vista. San Diego is my home. I've lived here my whole life. And I'm majoring in human biology and minoring in global health, which I never thought I would never thought I would minor in global health until I came to UCSD and like learned a lot more about it. So I'm pretty interested in it. And I'm in Revelle College as well. And if any of y'all are first year transfers, I was a Revelle College orientation leader. So I might be a familiar face if you're in Revelle. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and my path here.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Marielle, and I'm also from Ladell, and I also went to the university. I might have seen you actually there. And so my major is cognitive behavioral neuroscience. I transferred from San Diego Mesa College. This is my first year at UCSD. And I decided to go to UCSD just because I knew it was a really big hub for research and specifically for neuroscience research. And yeah.
Great. Thank you all so much for introducing yourselves. And it's great to see too some connections being made in conversation and in the chat. And I'm sure that people will start to realize they might have met somebody somewhere else already, which is great. For our next question, so thank you all for introducing yourselves very briefly. I'd like to hear a little bit more about your current or even a former research project, if maybe you've been involved in research in multiple ways. Just tell us a little bit about any projects that you've pursued during your time at UC San Diego or even before, if that's applicable. And I'd also love to hear how you became interested in the topic, and also what specific structured research opportunities you've participated in, whether it's through the Undergraduate Research Hub or others. Because as we mentioned earlier, there's a range of opportunities, and so it would be great to hear from each of you the different programs that you've participated and just a little bit about the substance of your research and how you got interested in the first place. So maybe I'll turn it back over to you again to get us started, Emma, first, and then we'll sort of, it can flow in any direction from there and people can sort of unmute as they feel moved to do so.
Yeah, thank you. So over this last summer, I'm not conducting any research currently, but over this last summer, I was part of the Trells research program. And I was actually doing a project using machine learning to understand the difference between political memes and political misinformation during the 2020 US presidential election. So I got to do formal research on what seems like just about the least formal thing possible, which is internet memes. And so yeah, the inspiration from that is fairly self-explanatory. I really like memes. But prior to that, I also did the Sociology Honors Research Seminar, and I did that on 17th century feminism, including studying paintings by a particular painter named Artemisia Gentileschi. And the inspiration for that was because I was able to see some of her paintings in person during a study abroad.
Yeah, so I also participate in the Trails scholarship, and my research topic was studying Chinese people's attitude towards America and Japan. So I was interested in this topic because from my observation on both social media platforms from China and America, I saw a lot of negative comments towards the other countries, and I just wondering what would be the kind of like the causal effect beneath this this trend. So I want to study it. I was guided by Professor Berman, and my research method was to I create an online survey that I ask people their I ask people to rank their attitudes towards these two countries based on scale 1 to 5, and I ask other non-privacy demographic data. In the end, I use data analytics software's data to analyze their responses. As a result, I found that the most interesting factor is that if a person have been to another country for at least 3 months, then his attitude will be more positive. So this gave me the insights that people should to maybe do more research or actually visiting another country before they make judgment. And I also found that rules apply to basically everything. So yeah, and finally, I was presenting my results as the undergrad research conference, also held by a Research Hub. It was an amazing experience. Yeah.
I can go next. So last year I was part of the McNair Scholars Program, and my topic was on organized crime in Brazil. I was just basically trying to look at what factors influence criminal activity. As you can imagine, getting data was kind of hard, so I ended up relying on Google Trends data to kind of map it out with the premise of if something happens in your area, you're going to go look for more information on that issue. And then this year, I'm actually in the senior honors seminar for political science. And I'm working on a project looking at how partisanship and electoral institutions affect a representative's likeliness of responding to constituents' requests. Still working on like the elevator pitch, but essentially it's just in like Latin America, a lot of these countries have electoral coalitions, which might be a foreign concept here. But I'm just looking at how they respond to different parties. So you could be from a different party, but if you're still part of my coalition and I can count on your votes, I might respond to you. If you're not a part of my party, I might not respond to you. That's basically what I'm looking at this year.
Gonzalo, I just have a quick follow-up. Can you define for us what an elevator pitch is for those who might not be familiar with that concept in research?
Yeah, so an elevator pitch is just a really quick and concise way of explaining what your problem is, what exactly is like the motivation behind it, and more generally, after you've like solved it, you'll probably like explain where you're at with it. But you typically just describe the process that you're going to use to study it. So for me, I'm using an audit study, which is just fake name, pretending to be someone that I'm not when I'm contacting them through email, so that I can see how these different changes elicit different responses.
Awesome. Thanks so much for clarifying that. That's very helpful. Other panelists want to share a little bit about your project so far and other programs or opportunities that you've pursued here at UC San Diego.
Yeah, I can. Oh.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. It's really cool to hear everybody's research. For me, I started, and I'm still at the same lab that I started in winter quarter. I'm working at the UCSD School of Medicine Center for Neural Repair. And so primarily when I first initially joined the lab, I was focusing on more of like the nitty gritty, like actual physical work regarding trying to see which promoters help with gene expression for neurodegenerative diseases, specifically Alzheimer's disease. And then this summer, I was able to actually focus on a more independent project that was through the undergraduate research opportunity. So I received the Ladell Family Scholarship for Science and Engineering in the summer. And then right now, I received the TRELS Scholarship or Quarterly Award. And so it's essentially what I'm focusing on is trying to have a drug activatable receptor for more controlled gene therapy for Alzheimer's disease, because right now it's difficult to turn a stimulus or turn something that's activated through gene therapy on or off. And so I'm working towards a patent for that. And so, yeah, I got interested in it just because right now I want to pursue more of bioengineering. So that's what I'm applying for a master's. And so I was interested in kind of taking my interest and my love for like the brain and neuroscience and combining that with new techniques that I haven't learned yet. So, yeah.
That's real. Everybody's research sounds really cool and interesting. But what I did for research that I've been involved in prior to participating in TRELS this past summer, I participated in the FMP Faculty Mentored Research Program, and I did that under the emergency medicine research aspect of it, which is a little bit different than like a regular FMP, but still similar aspects. So being a part of the emergency medicine research program, a research associates program, in addition to, you know, the structured research program of a research aspect of like writing a paper and then presenting your work at a symposium at the end of the 2 quarters. In addition to doing all of that, I also went into the emergency department and helped work on research studies that were going on during that time. And that I just wanted to do that partly because I am pre-med and I do want to go to med school in the future. And working in the emergency department is a hope that I have as well, or something that I'm really interested in, and the aspect of medicine. So I did want to see what it's like, but also the research aspect of it is something that I've never really ventured or never really thought could occur in the emergency department. So I wanted to see what that aspect was like and how that worked. So that was how I got involved in FMP and did that for 2 quarters. I noticed there's a question in the chat and I just wanted to quickly address it. The deadline already passed and isn't only offered in the fall quarter. So it's offered during like winter and spring quarter. So the application does start in the fall. However, we do have like a non-FMP program. So you can apply as just like a regular research associate, which is what I do now after I did FMP for the first 2 quarters. I'm still able to be a research associate in the hospital. So you can apply for that. And we're actually we're onboarding people right now. So I think the application for that is still open. But if you just Google UCSD emergency research associate, you'll see the link and hopefully you'll be able to see the application process for that and see if it's still open. But yeah, so after doing FMP and participating in the spring, I think, I can't remember the name, but it was like the spring symposium for all the undergraduate research hubs or all the undergraduate research programs. I participated also in TRELS this past summer. And my research for TRELS was on compassion and how it affects and pertains to Black individuals, specifically how that compassion relates to healthcare. So their perceptions of healthcare has been deterred from the aspect or hasn't been deterred by like the activities of their providers, and do they feel like their providers have enough compassion, and if they don't, what are some things that they feel like providers could do instead to treat them better. So basically I spent my summer going out in the community and having individuals fill out a survey and taking the data from that survey and coming up with a clear, concise answer about, or as best as I could, about what I felt are individuals' perceptions of compassion and like what they feel like could be changed.
Thanks, Chinyere. And then Marielle, we'd love to hear from you as well.
All right. So yeah, I think I probably have like the least amount of research experience in this panel. I actually just started to work in a lab just in September, like the end of September, when school started. So I recently joined the Allen Lab at the Salk Institute, and I was able to get into the lab through Start Neuro. I was actually part of their summer program, and it's actually a 2-year program, but they had like a summer thing to start it off. So yeah, I joined the lab, and the lab is primarily focused on researching astrocytes and how they regulate, how they affect synapse formation and regulation in both healthy and also disease conditioned brains. And I don't have like my own project like a lot of other panelists do, but I kind of picked up on a project that I work with my postdoc mentor. So postdoc just means postdoctorate, and it's just so they're the people who like do research after they've achieved their PhD. And so we're looking at a gene called PTN and how it has something to do with like synaptic plasticity in both healthy brains, but also in Alzheimer's brains.
Thank you all. And I think I just want to emphasize all of your contributions in a couple ways. One, that all of you have your own unique story, and it really underscores that there's no right or wrong time to get involved with research, right? It's never too early, it's never too late. And your projects represent a broad swath of topics, of methods, of fields of study. And you know, they are all very interesting and important and contribute so much in their own ways, right? And I think this is what we want anybody who's listening and joining in for this conversation to take away, right? That whatever your interest is, whatever stage you are, your journey academically, research can be an opportunity for you. And our panelists here, you know, absolutely represent a range of opportunities within the Undergraduate Research Hub, whether it be the Undergraduate Research Scholarships Program, the TRELS program, Faculty Mentor program, START Neuro program, and the McNair program, as they mentioned, but other opportunities within a specific department, or, you know, to go back to your point in Kitchenette about, you know, sometimes these opportunities persist because you got the, you know, the experience earlier, and then these research opportunities are looking to hire you further after the initial participation, right? So these are all really important things to keep in mind. And so there's a vast array of different experiences. One thing that is common for the most part across research opportunities is working very closely with a faculty mentor. And that's really one of the benefits, is building up relationships with professors. And so for our next question, I'd like to ask each of you to reflect a little bit about your process of finding a faculty mentor. How did you find a faculty mentor? You know, sort of what was your approach to it? What was some maybe good and or bad things about that search process for you? Maybe if you've worked with multiple faculty mentors, how's that been like? And also to maybe share a little bit about how your faculty mentor relationship has grown and changed through your participation in research. So just love to hear from each of you a little bit about your own mentor search process. And maybe I'll put you on the spot here, since we haven't started with you yet. I'll ask you to get us started first.
Yeah, so I didn't necessarily know exactly what specific focus research I was interested in when I first transferred. The main thing that I did during fall quarter was literally just attend seminars, attend events, hear about like different research that's happening, and just like see what I'm interested in. And so I specifically emailed the mentor that I have right now, because I heard one of his seminars and I just showed that I was really interested in it, and wanted to talk more about him, more about his research through like a meeting. And so from that, I enrolled in BISP 199. I was working under a grad student, and now it's more like throughout my time, and because I've worked in the same lab for so long, there's this level of trust and understanding that like he knows, for example, that like I'm capable of mentoring a student, and I can introduce them into the lab and help them with that, and that, you know, they also know when I'm overworking myself, and so they'll tell me like, you can take a break from the lab, don't come into the lab. And I think I got really lucky, because I know a lot of people need to like tour labs. I did not know any better, so I didn't tour a lab before I committed. And I'd also just like, I know it's like a little off topic, but I'd also like to shout out to like the coordinators for the research, like Tyler and so Dr. Sai, Sophia Sai. Both of them have like really helped me in terms of building my faculty mentor relationship, because of the fact that I wouldn't, for example, be working independently over the summer on my own project if I didn't have the opportunities to like learn how to grow and build my like opportunities and stuff like that. So yeah.
Thanks, Hira. Maybe I'll pass it over to you next, Gonzalo.
Yeah, so similarly, I kind of didn't know what I wanted to study. I just looked at the faculty websites, like their web pages and the UCSD website, and I just noticed that one of my professors was studying something that I was really interested in. So I went to office hours and I asked him, and he said he'd be willing to be my mentor for McNair. And then during like being a research assistant as part of McNair is when I really started to like find what I was interested in. You know, as you're doing like literature reviews and stuff like that, you start to learn more about the field. And so that relationship with that faculty mentor definitely like evolved more than just like the superficial. We would just like meet and talk about the project. Now, you know, I go to him when I'm thinking about preparing for like graduate school applications next year and stuff like that. And then if I need a letter of recommendation, here's someone who I feel like can write a strong letter of recommendation for me since they've seen me throughout this research process, you know, working hard to get this project done. And then my current faculty mentor, I met, I took his class, Poly 30, and I was a research assistant for him in the spring. And it was actually during that research assistantship that I found the topic that I was interested in that I'm exploring as a senior thesis. So again, that relationship also matured because he's able to see that I can work diligently on these projects and the kinds of tasks that he can assign me that he knows I can get done in the amount of time that he expects them to be done or would like them to be done. So again, it's just more, they get to know you better. They just get to know you a lot better and they can speak really highly of your ability to not only perform research, but like just get whatever you want to accomplish accomplished.
It looks like maybe you have something to say, Ingeniere, so I'll pass it over to you next.
Yeah, okay. For me, like I said before, with the FMP emergency research program, that was just kind of me being interested in emergency rooms and like what emergency research actually kind of looks like. So that was really what spiked my interest, and applying for that is what really motivated me to do so. But in terms of my research that I did for Charles this summer, compassion and how it relates to communities of color, specifically the Black community, that one stemmed really honestly from the fact that I took a class with a professor, and at the end of the quarter, the professor mentioned the fact that she works for, or she has her own nonprofit called Compassionate Breast, and it works with breast cancer patients and helps to get them the services that they need. So I told her that, hi, I'm interested. Is there like someone I can volunteer in the program, or some way I can, you know, like lend a helping hand, like even if it's at like random events or something, I would love to do so. And she's like, oh, well, I'm working right now on some research, like she's the PI for a few research programs. And she said, I would love to have you on, like we always need a helping hand. So I said, cool, I would love to do so. And through me being in her class and then like getting added onto these projects and then participating in trials, that was really just how like we met and we clicked. And it's nice to gain her perspective on a lot of things. And bouncing off of what Gonzalo said, like she's someone who can attest to not only my character but also the work that I've done, because around like last fall or winter quarter, before trials even like came into my mind, the one of the like main people of the project, they actually left because they're in med school and they had to go do, you know, their med school thing, so they just didn't have time for the project anymore. So the responsibility of the project like fell onto my shoulders. So I had to pick up a lot of the work that was left from that point on. So that was just me working on that with like one other person and trying to come up with good results and like making sure that everything was still coherent and working well in terms of the project. So she's been able to see me like pick up the pieces from where someone else left and still be able to turn in quality work at the end. So having that mentor and having someone who can attest to my abilities to do so is really great to have. But yeah, that's my mentor story. Super simple, nothing super complex.
But again, you know, what we appreciate about it is everybody's story is unique, and it's helpful for everybody to have a sense of, you know, all the different ways that people identify mentors. And so it's really wonderful to hear. Marielle, would you like to share a little bit about how you got connected with your current mentor?
Sure. So Start Neuro really helped me with learning how to actually find faculty mentor. So they directed me to this page where you can find just like all the faculty on campus that is involved with research. And I can actually send in the chat like once I'm done talking, but that really helps me like narrow down, because you can toggle like if you want to do molecular research or like computational or whatever. And so you can really narrow down like the type of research that you want to get involved in. And so from there, like they helped me form like a list of like 5 potential faculty mentors, and they actually helped me like formulate an email to send to them. And they were just really helpful with the whole process, because if I like honestly, if I didn't have them, I would just be sending out like random emails, like not even like structured well or whatever. And yeah, I really think that's starting to really help me with that. And yeah, I was able to find and get accepted into a lab at Salk, which was really cool. And yeah, I don't have much to say about how my faculty and mentor relationship has grown since I literally just started like last month. But so far, I feel like I got really lucky with the postdoc mentor that I was paired with. She's super nice. And hopefully you all get paired with someone who's also really nice and understanding with like your schedule, and like also understanding of the fact that you don't know everything about whatever research you're doing. And yeah, because like you're literally new to the field and they have so much more experience than you. So yeah.
Thanks, Marielle. Hi, Han, would you like to share a little bit about how you met your mentor?
Yeah, sure. So my suggestions for other transfer student is to attend office hours of your professors. Two years ago, just like most of you, I was just come to UC San Diego. I know nothing. So I enrolled in TMC 20. It's a transfer year experience held by Marshall College. And I just went to that class, and it was taught by the Provost Carver. And she taught us everything about Marshall College, about UC San Diego, about the resources they offered. And I just thought she is very well known, and I want to maybe ask her a couple of questions. But first, I was kind of afraid because she is a provost. I thought maybe she is kind of unreachable, but I attend her office hour. She answered all my questions. She's very friendly and very helpful. So I just keep attending her office hour every week and just share with her all my concerns and my questions. And there was a Marshall Mentor program held by Marshall College, which you can apply, and they will assign you a mentor. And in that application, I just said, maybe I want Provost Carver to mentor me, and she agreed. I was really excited. So she's my mentor right now. She told me about the trials program and all the other opportunities. She also helped me connected with Professor Berman, who is also my mentor right now. Yeah, and I want to say, like, go to office hours, maybe sit in the first row of the classroom, or open the camera during Zoom lectures to get professors familiar with you. I think that's the best way, at least for me, to get know of your mentor, and just maybe share all your concerns. I also had an appointment with Professor Berman next week to talk maybe my potential plan to apply to PhD program in economics. So I do appreciate the mentorship along the way in UC San Diego. So yeah, go to office hour. That's the most important thing.
And Emma, yeah, we'd love to hear from Emma as well.
Yeah, so I'm definitely noticing that everyone has had a very unique and different, each of us has a very unique way that we manage to find our faculty mentors. for both of my projects, I kind of had my at least general idea that definitely changed over time, but my general idea of what I wanted to do with my research project. And I used that to kind of start my way into finding a mentor. So for my most recent project, I had this idea that I wanted to apply for Trells over the summer, and I wanted to work somehow with Twitter data and looking at political memes. And so I basically was thinking, okay, who are the professors that I'm taking this quarter? I know I want to do some data analysis work. Well, I have this data analysis professor that I'm taking right now. And so I sent her an email saying, hey, I have this idea and I'm looking for a mentor. Can I come into office hours and ask? Because I felt really overwhelmed just showing up into office hours in case like 10 people were already there. I didn't want to take up that much time. So I ended up scheduling an appointment with her like right before her normal office hours that was just for me to talk to her. And pretty much by the end of the half hour or something that I was kind of giving my pitch for what I wanted to do and asking for her feedback, she was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm super happy to mentor you for that. And her help was so important because it was really the first time that I had been working with any of these like more intense programming work than I had been familiar with. And so there were huge chunks of my programming that I ended up finished with, or that I ended up using for the final project that I would have had no idea how to do had it not been for her. And then my project before that actually had a completely different situation, which I found my mentor. It started with the same situation of having my general idea of what I wanted to do and then emailing my current professors. But the one that I talked to that time was like, well, I can't help you, but this other professor might be able to. So I went after that one and he was super happy with it, gave me some really interesting ideas on how I could take my idea, starting with Artemisia Gentileschi, but then bringing it up to feminism in general. And what was really amazing about that particular mentor is that the project lasted for 2 quarters. So I was meeting with him every week. And even at some points, the fact that he was able to support me and he really believed in my project and saw that I was doing a really good job and was kind about it was volumes. It spoke so, it was incredibly powerful for me, much more so than any more logistical work, which was very unique about that particular relationship because I managed to find a mentor who was kind more so than anything else. Not that all mentors aren't kind, but that was just really exceptional about this particular relationship. And so I ended up inviting him to my later on presentation during the summer research conference, even though it was long after we had been working together.
Thank you, Emma, and thank you all for sharing. Yeah, again, it's wonderful to hear how multifaceted these relationships are, how many of you at this point have multiple mentors who serve these different kinds of roles in your journey, and also that you all have become mentors in your own right. Just sort of the insights that you're sharing here and the links and all of that, that's evidence of the mentorship that you all pay forward, which is really wonderful. And on that note, I also want to pivot and invite the audience, please, if you have questions that you'd like to pose to the panelists, feel free to either enter them in the chat, or if you'd like to raise your hand in Zoom and unmute yourself, we'd welcome your questions that you have. So please do gather your thoughts and any sort of opportunity that you want for to engage with this wonderful panel. While people are gathering their thoughts, I want to ask sort of one last formal question, which is just for any of you, and we don't have to, if not all of you want to respond to this, that's perfectly fine. But I want to ask you to respond. What advice would you share with your past self as you're thinking about sort of what you know now versus maybe what you knew a couple of years ago, or even just a year ago, maybe even just a few months ago? What is sort of a piece of advice that you might share in terms of, navigating your research experience, maybe even just navigating UC San Diego more broadly? What's one of those gems of wisdom that you might share with your past self? And I'll just leave it open for anybody who feels moved to respond for something that you might want to share.
I would like to go. I just want to say one thing to pass myself about research is that it is okay to change the initial plan, and it is okay to fail. So when I first started the trials program, I was thinking about studying the well, the local, like the food delivery will increase the local economy. And I really love this project. I did a lot of work, but after like 2 months of researching and study, I've found there's like very little data related to this topic, and I just can't go on. And I also talked with Taylor. I said, I'm really sorry that I must change my plan. And Taylor said, that's absolutely fine. And Provost Carver, as well as Professor Berman, they also change their plans sometimes. So if you are first time doing research, it is absolutely that you may find something you're interested, but you just can't continue at this point. And also, in fact, I just kind of failed in Econ 191. It is the senior essay seminar. I proposed another research proposal, but Professor Vispa doesn't really like it. So I just work really hard this couple of days to generate new thoughts and new ideas. And that's very normal in research process.
One advice I would give to my past self is not to fixate so much on having a question, because as you're going to learn really quickly, that question is going to get refined. It's going to go through a bunch of drafts, and you might even change the perspective that you look at it from. And so I almost let not having a question keep me from applying to McNair last year. And I really feel like I would have regretted that if I had let that be the reason why I didn't apply.
I have something. I think for me, when I first initially went into the lab, I was very like intimidated just because it seemed like everybody had their stuff together and I was very lost. I think, and it was like during COVID, so it was a little harder. I think one thing is just to be unapologetically amateur. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to embrace what you don't know, and just keep learning as you go. Yeah.
I really want to echo something that Gonzalo said about not knowing whether you have a question, because in pretty much every single case where I have tried to do any kind of proposal, or even just for a class, like we have to do a research proposal by the end of the quarter, the question that I have started out with is not nearly the question that I ended up with. It goes over and over again, just changing directions completely. And as a combination with that, apply for everything, like anything that is even in your realm of what could be interesting. If you're willing to work hard at it, you should apply. Even if you don't get in, you should apply, and then apply to more stuff. So to kind of just kick imposter syndrome in the face and do it anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Emma said, that try everything, apply for anything that you can. If it seems even remotely interesting, and it seems like if you can like envision yourself even a little bit, like I think I could do that. Apply for it, give it a shot, give it a go. The worst thing that can happen is that you end up not getting it. I'm the kind of person who always says I'll cross that bridge when I get there, because I would just rather not focus on the now, but like worry about that later on. And I think you miss a lot of opportunities when you start overthinking and underappreciating the value and the skills that you have as a person. Once you start doing that, you start like closing a lot of doors that were completely open for you. So definitely just give everything a shot that you can. If you have the time in the day and it doesn't like super stress you out, apply for whatever it is you're thinking about applying for, and do it. You may find like something that is the absolute complete 100% fit for you. But if you gave into those doubts, you would have never known.
I also wanted to echo even more what has been said. Yeah, like last year, I was also like, I attended a student panel, like I was in your seat, like listening to people talk about being in research, and I was like, wow, like these people are doing such amazing things, and I don't know if I can do the same, or like if that is even like an option for me. And once I like heard about all the programs at UCSD, I realized that research is so accessible to students on campus, because there are so many programs, so many ways to get in contact with professors. And like to answer Ryan's question, how to research to faculty other than like cold emailing, there's the, I think like coffee with a professor or like dining with a professor, but due to COVID, I think it's like online or something, but definitely check that out. I think they're still doing it. I haven't done it myself, but I heard it's really cool. But yeah.
Thank you all for your very thoughtful responses. And I just want to say as a disclaimer, I did not pay any of them to say any of those things. So they're just, but thank you all for staying so inspirationally on message. And I think, just to pick up, that everything that you all have done is so process-based, right? And it's sort of like where you are now isn't necessarily what you could have exactly pictured, just a short time ago. But that you had that belief and that ability to envision yourself as striving towards that. And so I would say that to all of you who are in attendance, right? Envision yourself as being a part of this panel, right, next year or the year after that, right? Envision yourself as, being a part of this research community that extends across campus. And, that starts certainly with the advice of apply to everything and just, stay persistent with that. There's a lot of great questions coming in that are in different ways all related. So thank you for responding to that, Marielle, about the suggestion for coffee with professor. Just a few questions that have come in about, going beyond cold emailing. Is it better to reach out to a professor in person or Handshake if an opportunity is posted on Handshake, for example? A question about the timeline, how long it took to find a mentor for each of you, and sort of just how to navigate those conversations in general with professors. So I would open it up if any of you have thoughts, because I think this is a common topic that emerges when we talk about research, is finding that professor, finding at least one mentor to get started off with. So I'd love to open it up to the panel if you all have any additional thoughts about suggestions of how to sort of approach this, or because I know some of you also mentioned, for example, getting plugged in with the department events, so maybe pursuing other sorts of events or lectures that were happening. So yeah, I turn it over to you all as panelists if you want to offer any additional advice or approaches for identifying potential mentors and doing that initial outreach.
I just actually wanted to go back to the question about, is it better to apply from Handshake or to reach out to professor? I think you should do both. It can be either or, first or second, but getting your face and like getting your name associated with a face, or having your name associated with your own face, is really good in a professor's eye, because it'll make it 10 times easier when they see the application come in the door. They'll be like, oh, I remember that student. That student came and talked to me, or like, we went out for coffee that week and they were really cool and I vibed with them while lettering. So that kind of feel. And I think, personally, Handshake a lot more of the times is for like, yes, internship and job opportunities, but I feel like Handshake for UCSD isn't as like best to find like on lab positions. I usually use the Real Portal, or usually if you're in class with your professors, you'll hear them talk about the research that they've done. So that's an easier way for you to figure out what kind of research that they're doing too. But for Handshake, I honestly say like apply and then like still try to meet them in person. If you can meet them in person first and then apply, it makes it 10 times better as well.
Sorry.
Yeah, go first.
Okay. So yeah, I also wanted to add about like finding a faculty mentor. I went with the, I guess, cold email route, since that was what like us in Startner were doing. And so I just wanted to mention that based on my experience and also other people in my cohort in Startner, we had to like email like so many people, but also not just an email, but they might ask you for like your resume or like to write a covering letter. And that might not be something that you know how to do. Like personally, I don't know how to write a cover letter. And so I think a great resource when like preparing to like email professors is to like contact the writing hub or something and like ask them. Oh, sorry, my connection was unstable. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But anyways, yeah, the writing hub is a really good resource. You want to learn how to write a cover letter. And yeah, that's what I want to add.
I guess I can add on in terms of the email thing, and then also did it take a long time to find a faculty mentor, or like how long did it take? So I guess it depends on what you define as a cold email. For me, like the way that I emailed my mentor was I didn't email that many people, but I went through their articles, their most recent scientific article, and I went through and I specifically highlighted questions that I had. And during the seminars that I attended, I made sure that I at least asked a question so that at least they might remember me a little bit, like, oh yeah, she was the one who asked the question at the end of the seminar. So just like doing those little things, and then just like knowing that professors and mentors can see through if you're just cold call emailing and you're just looking for a position. So I didn't email that many people, but because of that, I did a lot of work behind the scenes where I was taking the time to read the articles, and I probably got I got into a lab probably like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I entered into winter and I started looking in fall. So yeah.
Yeah, so I would like to try to answer Malak. I'm really sorry if I pronounce this wrong. Ask about having an idea and also planning to attend to office hour. Is there a good way to do about it? I would say one thing you can do right now is to make your research, cannot make a formal research proposal about what is your research question, what are you planning to do, what effort you have tried, either on a presentation or maybe on a Word doc, and to show your professor during the office hour to show him or her that your interest about this specific topic and what you're trying to do about it, because that way it will make them easier to understand your plan. Yeah.
I'm just going to briefly add one thing that was particularly helpful for me both times that I was trying to find a mentor was, first of all, to start with the professors that I was taking classes with during that quarter. But second of all, even if it was just for my sake, rather than to just walk into office hours and hope that they had time to talk to me about it, I sent an email beforehand saying, hey, I would love to talk to you in office hours about this, because if the professor anticipates having like 15 people in there talking about the midterm and asking questions about the content, they may prefer to schedule you at a slightly different time, maybe right before or right after office hours, that is dedicated to just hearing about your project. And if nothing else, it gave me it forced me to actually go to it because I had sent the email saying that I was going to, rather than kind of chickening out at the last minute. So yeah, particularly if you're feeling overwhelmed about just walking into office hours and starting with that, I would strongly encourage writing an email, and that way you can proofread the email and like draft and edit it over and over again until you're comfortable sending it, before you just show up in office hours and hope for the best.
Thank you all for sharing those insights. Again, I think there's such great hands-on tips in terms of reaching out and forming those connections. We are coming to the end of our time, but before we wrap up, I do want to welcome and acknowledge that Dr. David Artis, our Dean of Undergraduate Research Advancement and Director of the Undergraduate Research Hub, is here. And I know that he's been thrilled to listen in and participate in this event. So I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Artis, if you just want to offer any of your own thoughts and sort of send us out as we wrap up this wonderful panel and event today.
Thank you, Tyler. It's I'm certainly not going to try to keep you all. You've done such great support, shown such great support for each other. I mean, I think that that's one thing I hope you take from this, which is the idea that you can be a support community for each other. You can learn from each other. I will say two very quick things. One, I did hear a student say, well, apply, you know, and if you, what's the worst you could not get in? Well, the simple act of applying will probably put you on someone's radar. Certainly if you apply to one of our programs and reach out to a coordinator like Tyler or to any of the other people at the Undergraduate Research Hub, even if you don't get into that program, it's really enough to start a relationship. We will have events at the hub that you're more than welcome to come to. You can talk to all of our coordinators, whether you're in a program or not. They can, you know, point you to things that are coming up. If you are not in a program in January or February, we'll talk to you about being in a program over the summer, right? If you're not in a program over the summer, we can talk to you about the scholarships that you might be available for, that might be here, that might not be here. I want to let you know that we work very hard at this hub to make available to all of our undergraduates the kinds of opportunities that come to students at UC San Diego. I'm working on something right now with a national lab in Long Island, New York, and we would love to have a couple of our students every year go there. But I need people for you to tell me that you're interested in those things. So, you know, it's a great example of our looking to meet this need. Whether you're in our program, whether you're in another program, we still think that the most important thing is for you to be in a research environment. And I'm so happy today to see how much the experienced folks are contributing and giving that hand, reaching out to the people who haven't had the experience yet. That's really just so invigorating for me. And then I think the second thing I would say is simply this. You know, research can be about some things that are very personal and can be about some things that seem very academic, but the best experiences are the ones that are going to resonate with you. You know, they're going to give you a sense of why you have chosen a certain path. So I remember when I was in college and even when I was in graduate school, people would say, well, you need a certain kind of academic distance. You need to be objective. Well, no, you don't. You need proof. You need some, you know, you need to be able to show an academic path to someone who maybe doesn't have the same personal experience that you do, but who wants to understand your passion. So let me just say in conclusion that don't think that being in research means that you're going to look at everything in the most clinical way. The best researchers are the ones who have a passion that drives them through the kinds of disappointments or setbacks and keeps them going. And again, you can't just say to people, well, I believe this so strongly, so you have to believe it too. No, the passion comes in when you are able to look at the entire scope of what you're doing, its possible effects, what difference it might make for people to know it. And that's why you need to care about it, because a lot of it is a long process. And to get to the point where you're presenting something to the world that you think will make a difference, you should really have the passion for it. And that passion is going to carry you from one research program to another, possibly to graduate school or medical school or to a career. So don't be afraid to put your passion into your research. And that, you know, I'm so happy to see so many of you talking about the difference it's made in your careers and your sense of confidence here. That's only going to grow as you get more involved with research.
Thank you, Dr. Artis. And I think that point about passion really brings it full circle and illustrates so well the passion that all of you bring. So thank you again to all of our panelists. A virtual round of applause for your time and willingness to share your experiences with all of us. This does conclude our event formally. Thank you so much for attending. We encourage you to stay connected with the Undergraduate Research Hub, as we've mentioned, and I'll be happy to share that link again in the chat in just a moment. And we're looking forward to supporting you in your own research journey. Thank you all so much.